Today on Monkey Life. It's an anxious time for the staff as they welcome 2 new arrivals from Switzerland.
We feel confident that we're good at looking after woolly monkeys, but it's still a bit nerve-wracking.
Vying for position, the new Stumpies are packing their punches.
I wouldn't want to mess with them.
And it's kick-off at the Orang Nursery. Monkey World in Dorset is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. Dr. Alison Cronin and her team devote their lives to rescuing and rehabilitating primates from all over the world.
I think in a week's time he's going to be quite difficult to contain.
It's been a difficult couple of days at the park. Woolly monkey Urema has been keeping the staff on their toes.
I don't know what it is, but whenever anything sort of new, different, exciting, scary, whatever it is happens, it always happens at the weekend. And sure enough, on Saturday morning, I got a phone call from Holly to say Urema's given birth. Of course, having cared for 2 other babies perfectly, we didn't expect any problems whatsoever. So I was pleased at first, and then Holly said, but there's a problem.
Rather than the newborn being tucked up with his mother, the baby was found clinging on to its father.
Bueno, the father, has hold of the baby, and Urema's not even looking at it.
This is not the first time that Bueno has been found holding the baby.
I knew that he would probably be good with the baby, that he wasn't going to harm it because he had done the same with Julio. Now, we presume that Julio's mum, who was a first-time mum, had actually abandoned her infant and Bueno had picked it up. This is the 2nd time now he's had hold of an infant, and I'm beginning to wonder if Bueno realizes that when the baby comes, it also comes with effectively snacks, the placenta and everything else that comes, which is very nutritional and good.
But it's dangerous for the newborn to be separated from its mother. It would only survive for 24 hours without fluids, so the team had to intervene.
We anesthetized both Bueno and Urema and took the baby off of Bueno, had Urema down, made sure she was fine, and we put the baby back on, and sure enough, when she woke up, she looked down and didn't seem too bothered and started cuddling the baby and touch a lot of wood. We haven't looked back since.
Woolly monkeys are critically endangered in the wild and notoriously difficult to breed in captivity, so every single birth is extremely important. Monkey World is the most successful place in the world at the moment for breeding woolly monkeys, and zoos around Europe are now looking to them for help. The park currently has 2 separate groups of woolies, but they're about to create a 3rd, as they've just been asked to rehome 2 more.
This evening, we've got the first pair arriving in from Switzerland. So very exciting time, and we now have the opportunity to start setting up with these 3 separate groups stable, unrelated bloodlines and keep as much genetic diversity as possible. We're feeling very optimistic right now at the park about our woolly monkeys.
Monkey World is a rescue centre, and as such, many of the primates that arrive here are in need of medical care.
Okay. Right.
One chimp who has recently given the staff cause for concern is Athena. She had an ulcer on her eye and had to have it removed. The staff have been monitoring her carefully to make sure the problem has gone away. Athena is in Paddy's group. The chimps sleep indoors at night, making themselves comfortable with blankets or wood wool. Every morning, the staff do a quick check on them to make sure they're all healthy before they go outside for breakfast. Today, Kathy is the first out.
Good girl.
She's always pretty cooperative.
Mouth, good girl. Open, wide. Good girl.
Unlike the next 3.
All right.
Beth, Buster and mischievous Gamba, who are far more excitable.
Beth, good girl. In the grave. Good girl, Beth.
Now it's Athena's turn.
Come on, sweetheart.
But Paddy's son, baby Bart, cheekily nips in ahead of her.
Hi.
Athena's eye seems to have healed well, and she's finally stopped rubbing it.
She looks great. Really good now. I think the eye's, completely back to normal, and that's a relief because it was obviously quite distressing for her. You can see this morning she's anxious to go out, so it's good to see. She's a very sweet-natured chimp, fairly low ranking, but she does have some friends in the group. She's very keen on Bart, and you can see Bart's come in the tunnel with her this morning. He's sat with her, so that's nice, but she's a really important and valued member of the group, so it's a relief to see that she's back to full health.
Bart's fortunate that he has both parents to learn from. Many of the primates at the centre are on their own, either because they are orphans or because their mothers rejected them. At the Orang nursery, Arme acts as a foster mum to the youngsters, and today the staff are encouraging them to get a little exercise.
We're going to have a real ball fest over in the Orang nursery, and I think they're really going to enjoy it, or they'll destroy them like the big uns. But hopefully they'll last a little bit longer because slightly smaller teeth.
Arme, who has very few teeth, decides to test out the balls first.
She'll try and pop them because we do use enrichment in this way, and we'll put stuff in. So her instinct straight away is to break the ball open and see what's inside. Linga's probably more likely to carry it around kind of like a child does with a rag doll, but I suspect Arme's going to go straight for the kill, and she'll destroy all the balls. Play is really important, particularly with the smaller ones. That's how you learn. So although, they're playing and it looks like they're messing around, they're learning as well at the same time. They're also secretly watching Arme and watching and learning off of her. Arme is a great sort of like influence. If Arme does something, it's amazing. Jolie, within 2 or 3 days, will then start copying that behaviour. And Arme's good. She plays and teaches at the same time as well.
Keeping an eye on the young ones can be exhausting. So once Arme's happy they're keeping themselves entertained, she takes time out for a nap. Preparations are underway to welcome 2 new residents who are due to arrive later today. The park has been asked to rehome 2 woolly monkeys from Basel Zoo in Switzerland. They'll be tired after their 700-mile journey. So Holly and Laura are making sure everything is ready for them in the house that's been specially refurbished.
They're 20 years old, so they're both getting on a little bit. And at the moment, we're just making the house nice and comfortable for them. We're putting in things like wood wool to give them something nice and soft to sleep in. We've put lots of new hosing up that they'll be able to swing round on, painted it a nice colour to try and make them feel impressed with their new house. And we're starting to prepare some food, insects and that kind of thing that will hopefully make their new house quite exciting. The house that we're using for the new woolly monkeys used to be a chimp house, so everything's designed for big, heavy, dangerous animals, whereas woolly monkeys are a lot smaller, their needs are very different. So we've actually had every sliding door in the building replaced with nice, light plastic slides that are woolly monkey friendly, hopefully moving the animals a lot easier. They've crated, they're in the car, they're on their way, but woolly monkeys are really, really easily stressed animals, and so to have a 12, 15-hour car journey and a ferry trip, it's going to be a very scary time for them. Even though it's going to be a very late night, nothing will keep us away. There's going to be quite a crowd of us this evening when they arrive. It's been a long wait and everybody's looking forward to meeting them.
While the primate care staff await their new charges, over at the Stumpy House, 10 other new residents are exploring their purpose-built home. These ugly monkeys have been retired from a lab facility in Scotland. Until now, they've only ever lived in small groups, but today all the females are being put together.
At the lab, there was a group of 5 ladies, a group of 3 ladies, and then Wilmot and his female, the pair. I'm hopeful that this morning we're going to be able to bung Charlie through it into the 3 older ladies, Rachel there after her, and then we can leave Wilmot with a couple of bedrooms to wait it out until we're ready for him. And then on the other side of the building, we've got the more dominant females. Then we'll try and file them through as well, and then be able to give all of the ladies, if they'll all stay together and be nice about it, the playroom and then 4 bedrooms.
Maureen is the first to go calling. Alison is concerned about the lowest-ranking macaques.
We just have to make sure that nobody ends up getting really picked on, because my biggest concern right now, quite frankly, is Charlie. She gets kicked around. She's got a few scratches on her back, which are superficial, not a problem. She's clearly at the bottom of the heap and a bit stressed out about it.
Fingers and Cola join Maureen, and Charlie gets a bit of rough treatment from the more dominant girls.
Cola, Fingers, and Maureen are a force to contend with. I wouldn't want to mess with them.
For some of the more dominant females, this could lead to friction. And it's not long before rivalries begin to bubble over.
So Noreen's staging a re-takeover bid from Maureen. Where did Maureen go? All the way through. Okay, well, if you guys can keep track of this, I'll be impressed. Maureen's on her side.
Maureen takes a submissive pose, so Noreen's aggression has paid off. And Cola takes the opportunity to put Kelly in her place too.
We have a few handbags swinging, and it really is just that. It looks sort of bad when one individual gets chased down and grabbed, but then just as quickly somebody else will jump in and have a go at the aggressor. So it all seems to dissipate and end as quickly as it starts.
When one gets excited, it quickly spreads to the whole group.
Rachel's very vocal, and when she vocalizes, it winds them all up and they all come running and have issues.
Wilmot, the only male, seems bewildered by all the fuss.
Jeremy Wilmot's looking to you for support. It's like, help. Wilmot's not been brave enough to even venture into the next door bedroom to all 9 ladies. He's just still hanging back, looking a little bit shell-shocked. The whole pecking order has to be sorted out here. So far, nobody's getting totally focused on and picked on. Thumb shoving match happening right now. First day and we've got the 9 ladies together. It's what I had hoped for. And now we'll just have to see if it lasts and then how brave Wilmot is to take them all on.
The Stumpies are not the only residents who've been retired from a laboratory. 2 years ago, the park took charge of 88 capuchins who had spent their lives in a lab in Chile. Capuchins are naturally inquisitive, and today the boys are being put to the test by the keepers.
It's a puzzle feeder which will be suspended, and what we'll do is hide in food inside it, and the boys will have to work out how to get the food out, balancing on it so they can actually stay on it and get the food out.
The feeder is filled with all sorts of goodies, from monkey nuts to dried pineapple. Gorillon, the dominant male, leads the way. But it's Fabian who notices the puzzle feeder first and goes to investigate. Gorillon seems happy to let the others work it out first. But maybe he'll change his mind now that Erico has started reaping rewards. Capuchins are one of the most intelligent small monkeys. They're the most dexterous of all non-human primates. In the wild, they're very resourceful at both finding food and, if necessary, cracking it open. Gorillon is still surprisingly reticent. Maybe he's realised it's not very safe with Erico on board. Capuchins are very good at problem solving, and they don't give up easily. Archie decides to approach it from a different angle. Clever Franco has decided enough's enough. He needs to get the feeder on the ground, so he looks for a way to undo it. The lazy option, of course, is just to hang around and wait for the food to come to you. Since they arrived at the park, the boys have lived in a house that was specially built for them, and a small outdoor space. But building work is now underway on a brand new, bigger enclosure, which will incorporate some of the trees at the park.
I always had in my mind when we placed the house in this area that the stand of trees behind the house would be the perfect home for them. I think it'll just bring them together tighter as a group, give them more space, which should be more relaxing for them, and I expect we'll see even more natural behaviors coming out.
A forest will be a challenge for a group who have spent most of their lives locked inside.
They started out, when we first met them, in tiny, tiny laboratory cages with nothing to occupy their time, nothing to keep them physically fit. They've got to bring everything to the party to go out into the forest. They've got to get on with each other. They've got to negotiate the flexible limbs and leaping from tree to tree and basically make this their home. They're never going to be totally natural monkeys. There's always going to be little shadows and little ghosts of what their life was in the past. But we're going to give them the opportunity to exhibit all of the natural behaviors as well.
It's the end of a long day, and the 2 new woolly monkeys have finally arrived from Switzerland. It's hoped this pair will bring fresh bloodlines to the woolly monkey breeding programme, as neither have had infants before. Everyone is keen to get them settled in as soon as possible. The female, Quappa, is the first to be released. But it's immediately obvious to Alison there's something unusual about her.
She is really small. She's 12 years old, so she's fully mature, and she's at least a third, if not a half, smaller than our ladies. So we'll hope to get her muscles built up and a bit of weight put onto her.
The team have concerns about the male woolly, Oaska, because he's old and he comes with a reputation of being a little overexcitable. So, as a precaution, they're releasing him into a separate bedroom first.
you want to open that slide now? And then see, how far do I have to open this door?
I think you're looking pretty good as long as you can keep it crushed up.
Yeah, that's everybody ready?
Yeah. Come on then. Boy. Yeah, you're good.
But after a few moments, Alison decides he should be reunited with Quapper.
They're both in great shape. Obviously, a bit freaked out about being in the new house. Those are all alarm calls that we're hearing right now.
They're both absolutely gorgeous. They're both a bit worried at the moment, but yeah, it's gone fantastically. They're both here safely. Given that the male's quite old, it was always a risk in transporting them, but they've got here okay and we're quite excited.
Holly, I reckon we should all clear out if you want to give them some food, and we'll let them settle down.
Off to bed. It's going to be a very early morning in the morning, coming to make sure they're okay, but totally worth coming in.
Next time on Monkey Life. Old Stumpy Gerald is rushed to the operating theatre.
This is not good.
He's not breathing now.
And moving in with Mum, baby Mikado goes it alone.
You're a gibbon again, little man.